They simply are too scared of the autocratic nature of the VC. We have a VC-cracy in our campus, basically. It's a harsh reality that strikes us whenever we go to protest. There are people who even consider that a struggle or being active being active in a political front is a crime. The VC issues allowances only to good students. The fellowships of the students who question her are cut. People who file RTIs are facing persecution. Everyone is given a show cause notice. Anyone who willingly goes up and files an RTI or asks a question or raises even a minuscule of doubt in the administration is faced with severe oppression. They are given show cause notices, reprimands, and disciplinary actions. And the larger moralistic issue of moralistic stand and attitude of the administration is unbearable. Recently, students, a girl belonging to BA in second year was suspended for a year for allegedly being drunk on the campus. It shocked us. She was not given any hearing. She was not awarded any justifiable reason to do this. But first thing that they do is give you a disciplinary action. And the kind of the ideology or the larger mechanism that is operating is the ideology, and which is why I think, dear friends, that we need to unite. That we need to have a united front to come up and raise the questions. This is not just a matter of FLU, this is not just a matter of HCU, Pondi or Mumbai, wherever it is, the students of this country has to stand united, and HCU, I'm proud to say, and I am inspired to say that HCU is leading the struggle, this nationwide struggle of the students against the Modi-led BJP government and its Hindutva ideology. Also, another thing that I'd like to say is that we have to think one step ahead of the policy makers. Now, one of my friends in FLU commented on the kind of policies that the government is implementing to curtail the freedom, to curtail the rights enjoyed by any minority or any other group of any particular group of students. And he called it inclusive exclusion. You take them in, but you exclude them effectively. Like the best example that I can think of is the Merit Cum Means scholarship that is awarded in every university, every central university or government university. Our university, as I said, is taking this a step forward. They have already implemented it, passed this motion in 2014 December Academic Council. Basically, the Merit Cum Means scholarship or the general stipend given to the students, Merit Cum Means scholarship is given in JNU. I believe it is given in HCU, but it's not based on any kind of criteria. They are given to students who have who are lacking in financial background and who are genuine, legitimate students of the university. But in FLU, we have a system where the people who have only 60% marks in the entrance exam and who clear all exams in every single semester is awarded this fellowship. Now, in the general, this doesn't really affect the students in the general quota. This affects the students who are effectively excluded from this government welfare scheme is the students belonging to other communities who are given entry into the university through the constitution through the SC, ST and minority quotas. This is just one instance of the larger scheme of activities, the larger policy of the government to curtail the students, to prevent even the entry of students belonging to the minority classes against, the Saraswati temples. There is Saraswati Kshetras of universities, which are supposed to be sacred spaces, which these students pollute by their activism, by their struggles, by their very presence, by the very presence of their bodies. Now, in addition to this, as you have already know, as you already probably know, the non-net fellowship, yet another scholarship given to the students, is going to be scrapped. This again, I believe, is a part of the larger scheme of policies implemented by the MHRD to curtail the students, to prevent them from even accessing the universities. As we all know that the global capital is waiting to pounce on the Indian education market. It is a booming sector, and they are waiting to just get into this sector and invest so that they can reap profits, reap the kind of stellar amount of profit, the kind of money that they can make. But the welfare schemes provided by our government, the welfare schemes ensured to us by the Constitution, is effectively nullified by these kind of policies, which prevents the students, for one, from accessing the kind of facilities that the Constitution promises them, and also by effectively inclusively excluding them, by taking them in and then excluding them. Fellowship cuts, rampant disciplinary actions, and all sorts of hostile evictions. These disciplinary actions, I feel that we should move for a public interest litigation in favor of the students, especially the Dalit students, against hostile evictions and things which threaten their very existence and their pursuance of a fruitful academic career in the campuses. Again, another policy that FLU has invented or is implementing is that of reducing the number of centers. Now, if you check the demography of the campus, so there are people coming. Several states have provided larger number of students in the campus. Like for instance, West Bengal and Kerala, I think are the largest the largest group of students. And there has been incidents where the VC is effectively removing centers. So basically, the students who can only afford to go with their parents to the exam centers, to take a flight and go to the exam center in Pondicherry or Lucknow or wherever it is, and basically everyone else is excluded. Anyone who doesn't have the means to go there and who doesn't have the support, financial or social family support to go there, will not be able to attend the FLU's entrance exams. And this sort of a tactful approach or a veiled criminal approach, I should call it criminal. It's nothing less than a criminal approach. This sort of an approach is, these are the kind of symptomatic things that we should see, that we should address before they actually implement it in the other universities as well. Which is why I call for, I request you all to be a part of the protests that are happening across the country. Like Professor Satyanarayana said, people from the representatives of ASA and the students from HCU itself should go and address the various student gatherings all over the country and instill the kind of inspiration that you inspire, that you give us. Now, the Student Union of FLU has, from the very first day of from the initial days of the struggle, and when the Velivada was formally placed, we have been in solidarity with this protest, and we will be in solidarity with this protest. We promise you that we will give you our wholehearted solidarity and support to this protest till Apparao resigns, he is put in jail, and Dattatreya is also put in jail. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony. Now I request Afzal to address the gathering. PhD scholar from FLU.
Dear friends, I'm really thankful to the HCU community for giving the students across the country hope. At a time when fascist forces are in power and any sort of democratic movements are crushed down, the students of HCU have shown the way the nation can forward in terms of student movements and struggles for social justice. The struggle that the students of HCU started, it has spread across the country, and students across the university campuses have been speaking out against caste discrimination and other forms of discrimination that exist on various campuses. Also, at the same time, it has the movement is successful in making the people the people can no longer ignore the realities of discrimination based on caste, caste and other markers. And so I also at this point I also reiterate our solidarity, the solidarity of the IFLU students with the ongoing movement in HCU. As much as you need the solidarity, we also need the solidarity of all the students across this country. So while I'm standing here and talking to you, I'm one of the 11 students who have been recently punished for being part of a democratic protest within IFLU campus. This protest happened more than 3 months ago. Most of you must be aware of the way IFLU has been functioning over the past few years. In 2013, a Kashmiri Muslim student committed suicide on campus, and the people who were responsible for that was not punished. The students had a protest, continued protest for more than a month, and what followed was very brutal repressive measures from the part of the administration. Many of the students were targeted, and many of the people had to discontinue their studies, and this trend continued. IFLU had a very rich tradition of movements from Dalit and OBC and minority students, but the administration has systematically wiped out most of the student leaders by filing cases against them, rusticating them. 2 years ago, when the students' union held a protest, when the university decided to close down the 24-hour reading room by saying as a measure of gender segregation, because that was one of the very few public spaces within IFLU campus where people could interact, and saying that and then they closed that down. So the students' union led a protest, but after that when there were no students on campus, in May 2014 the university rusticated 3 of the students, and a mass protest followed. But even now, one of the students is out. His term is over technically, but even now he is not allowed to register. So that is one of the major things that had happened in the past. This year, last year again they tried in IFLU people. There was no restriction of entry into boys hostel or men's hostel. Boys hostel or ladies hostel, anybody could enter any hostel during particular hours. But they tried to impose gender segregation, and we protested against this. But again, we were brutally repressed. So, which led many people to give up hope on things. And then again, there have been cases against many of the students who have been active. For instance, Ravi Chandran of Dalit Camera, and many other students who were instrumental in installing the Ambedkar statue in front of the admin block. I heard that even now the cases are going on, and Ravi, who is in Shimla now, he has to come down every month to appear in the court. And this year again, what happened was that in August, when Yaqub Memon's hanging happened, the SFI unit of HCU decided to screen a short film about killing, and for that the General Secretary of SFI unit was given a show cause notice. And then later Arjab Sarkar, an MA student, he put up a post on Facebook criticizing the way and the superfluous nature of the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan that was conducted across the country and also in IFLU in particular. For that he was served a shock cause notice, and also his parents were sent a letter saying that please your kid is getting into, that was the term they used, treating him as an infantile, saying that ask your boy to shut up. That was the tone of the letter, but Arjab continued to raise his voice against issues that he felt strongly about, and then the students of IFLU started a protest campaign called RIP IFLU, where we conducted events like a requiem for the university and many other cultural events. Even though the university did not take any action against Arjab Sarkar at that time as a follow-up to the shock cause notice, later in November when there was only 6 days more to go for the final exam, his admission was terminated without giving any reason. And then he had to go around to get this issue resolved, but nothing happened. And on top of that, he was not a member of the hostel for more than a year. But when he was leaving, he finally gave up on his life. His academic life in IFLU. And his father, in a very painful Facebook note, wrote, "The IFLU administration killed the 3 years of my the life of my son in cold blood." And then he decided to take his son away from IFLU and go back to Kolkata, where he was from. And even at that point, the revengeful IFLU administration made him pay a huge sum of money as fine, by saying that he was staying in the hostel illegally. He was thrown out of the hostel more than a year ago by the same person who asked him to pay that huge amount of money. I'll come back to the case of the protest. When Arjab Sarkar was given a shock cause notice, we started this campaign called RIP IFLU, and also we symbolically gave the university a shock cause notice, asking them to explain. This was more of a social media campaign where we asked them to explain why they are denying us our freedom. And then after a few days, some 12 of us got a shock cause notice of a generic nature, everybody getting the same mass-produced shock cause notice from the shock cause vending machine, that is the proctor's office in IFLU, which produced more than 16 shock cause notices in one or 2 months. Then we gave a response saying that yes, we were part of the protest, but we were exercising our democratic rights as citizens of this country and as stakeholders of this university. And at the same time, we were also asking for elections. Whenever we went to the university officials demanding elections, they were being very dismissive, or at times provocative, asking us to go to court, or some other person would say that yeah, we will do it next week or next month, and then 3 months were gone and the protest was going on. So after the shock cause notice was given, what happened was that one fine day they declared elections, because that was more of a necessity also for them, because they had to complete the process because the NAC team is visiting, and there was a lot of negative publicity. And then the same day, within 2 hours, 11 of us got disciplinary action memos where the 4 PhD scholars were suspended from hostel, and also their fellowship was suspended, and some 3 people got reprimand, and 4 other students were also expelled from the hostel. And on top of that, these three of them, 2 boys and a girl of 19 years, they were asked not to be on campus before 9 AM and after 6 PM. And we were also barred from participating in the election. One of our friends who got this punishment, he was the Chief Election Commissioner. He was thrown out of that post, and another person who got reprimand, he was a candidate. He was also his candidature was nullified. So in that way, and what happened after that was that a few days after the incident, the punishment was given, we appealed to the appellate authority, that is the Vice Chancellor, and we were assured orally by some of the officials that there won't be the punishment won't be implemented till a final decision is taken. But one evening, the two girls were asked to leave the hostels around 5 o'clock. They were asked to leave the hostels, and they had to take refuge in their friends' houses. And this was just few days before their semester examination started. This was how the university reacted to any sort of democratic movement on that campus. And even now, even after 3 months of this thing, they have not yet resolved the issue. So we have resumed our protest, and I should add this, the protest that the students of XU staged, it has given us a lot of hope, a lot of inspiration, and we are planning to continue with our protest from Monday, and we expect all support from students of HCU and students from all campuses across the country. And I once again reiterate our solidarity for this movement, and thanks.
Thank you, Afzal. And we offer the support for the movement which is happening in the IFLU for the last several days as well. And as you know, like today, JHMC election results were out, not completely. And Amberpet area where BJP was quite strong for a long time, they lost it. And it's a short-term reply to them, and we expect big reply to them in whatever the way, which we can and the people can. And now we conclude this meeting, and on behalf of Joint Action Committee, we thank Professor Satyanarayana, Shivram Padikal, and the students from IFLU for joining with us. And thank you all. JP, Valsalam.